Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of the C Squared podcast. Here we are with a bit of a delay. We had a crazy couple of weeks. Fabi, you've been traveling from Europe. You went on some sort of a vacation. I fell down with some sort of a sickness as well for the past few days. So we got delayed by a few factors, but finally here we are, ready to do another episode. Excited about this. How are you feeling to be back on stateside?
Yeah, I'm glad to be back. It was a long trip in Europe. It included a tournament, the Vikings A tournament. My plans changed a bit. My initial plan was to get my course done in time and film it before the American Cup starts. Didn't really work out. I underestimated a bit the amount of work, so I figured I'm not going to have enough time in Europe. And also, my parents got a bit sick. Nothing serious, but they came down with something, and I was like debating a bit if I would need to stay around in case they need some help, but they were recovering, but I also didn't want to catch a bug.
Yeah.
And normally I'm visiting them, so I decided just to come back and postpone everything that I have to do in Europe a little bit, and I'll play the American Cup. Of course, there's some stuff before that, which will be interesting. But yeah, it's good to be back.
Yeah, absolutely. And hopefully you're not going to catch anything from me. But I did tell you in advance that I had a sickness and you agreed to meet. So there we go. Hopefully nothing bad is going to happen.
Yeah, I'm not like usually worried about, I don't know. I mean, some people are very worried about these things.
Yeah.
I understand that, but yeah, you hope that you don't get sick, but it's not really something you can fully avoid, right? You know, we're exposed to a lot of things. And luckily, like the last few, like you remember before Vike, I was feeling a bit under the weather, but something which passed very quickly. It was like 2 days.
Just the day that we actually traveled to.
Yeah. It was definitely something. I like took some medicine for my throat. I was getting a bit of a scratchy throat, but usually, I don't know if this is a normal thing, but when I was in my like late teens, early 20s, I was getting sick more often and usually for longer periods. And I don't know if you like build up some sort of immunity to common viruses over the years, but now, let's say 10 years since then, it feels like if I get sick, it's usually a much more mild thing. And maybe that's a thing, because also I know it's like people who are elderly, they usually don't get like common colds.
That's supposedly the science. Yeah, you build up some sort of immunity against these.
I guess that's a thing.
Common
right?
viruses. Yeah. I was talking with Yasser at some point when he was here in St. Louis, and he was telling me that he hasn't been sick for like 20 plus years. And I was like, dude, really? I mean, you're a tank.
I think there's probably selective memory.
Probably.
Right?
Yeah.
I have a feeling.
Yeah.
Who remembers if they were sick 18 years, if they had a cold 18 years ago?
I tend to say the same thing. I tend to say that I haven't gotten sick since college. And I do remember the last time I got sick in college, like pretty seriously sick. But since then, I couldn't remember anything. And obviously, last year I got the Rona, and now I have some sort of a flu right now, but I think I killed it in 3 days.
I remember like the most serious illness I got was during a tournament, and it was tonsillitis.
World Cup, right?
World Cup 2017.
Yep. I remember that.
And I was playing, I couldn't sleep at all. I couldn't breathe. I was taking 2,000 milligrams of ibuprofen a day. Which is serious.
That's a lot.
Serious. That's like 10 Advil a day, right? If you're going for the 200 milligrams. And Rustam was like brewing some sort of herbal tea, which I don't think it helped much, but it was like at least you have to drink something.
There was Uzbek potion, yeah?
I think it was
to get you better.
Some like generic fruit tea. But anyway, and then I like lost horribly. It was really miserable. Like my throat was closed. My tonsils were so swollen I couldn't breathe that through my mouth. It was just through my nose. Couldn't swallow. It was like...
So I have this theory about when we get sick. And I think I checked it with other sources as well, but this is my theory. So I think that whenever we travel and whenever we run on adrenaline, our immune system fights everything off. But as soon as we get back home and we relax a little bit, then the immune system doesn't work as well, and then you're more prone to get sick.
Well, so they did some study in Netherlands. You probably have heard of this guy Wim Hof, right?
Yeah.
He has some like stuff which sounds a bit kooky, which is like breathing and cold plunges, but they're starting to become a bit more normalized.
Yeah.
And they did this study of two groups of people. One group were people who didn't do anything, and all the people in the study were exposed to E. coli, which probably a small amount, right? They didn't want to get them really sick, but something which would have an effect like fever and who knows, maybe like nausea and things like that. And of course, the people who didn't do anything, who were just exposed to it, they got sick, which is normal. But the surprising thing was that the other group of people, and these were people who were practicing some sort of breathing exercise that Wim Hof is advocating for, which is, I think, like a deep nasal breath and then a quick exhale through the mouth. Those people got much less severe symptoms from the E. coli. And it sounds a bit strange, right? You wouldn't think that breathing could help with this, but I saw like Huberman took this as a topic.
I do that. Yeah, I try to do that as much as possible. Funny enough, I got sick after I did a pretty serious session of breathing. I did this huge workout, then I did jiu-jitsu as well on the same day, and I also did like my longest breathing session. I think it was 30 minutes. And the next day I got sick.
Well, yeah, I mean, like jiu-jitsu.
I was feeling so good. I was feeling euphoric after like that day,
No, it feels good, but like jiu-jitsu will expose you to all sorts of bacteria as well.
Yeah.
So it could, who knows? Who knows what you could pick up?
Yeah.
But Huberman was saying that like there's some science behind the idea that you can like prime your immune system through stressful activities, like stressful breathing or stressful cold temperatures, something that like increases your body's stress levels and gets your immune response going, which I don't know the science behind it, but it sounds interesting. I've been like, playing around with those things recently.
Same here. And actually I've been playing with light exposure in the morning, light exposure at night as well. And my fiance is light close to killing me very, very soon because I like the lights to be off as we get ready to go to bed. And then I have a very, very shallow light in the bathroom, and I brush my teeth and I do my night chores with that light.
So it's not light exposure, it's dark. It's
at night.
Okay.
At night. Low light exposure as you get ready to go to sleep. And then when you wake up, the first thing in the morning, in the first 30 minutes, you're supposed to go out and
get some sunshine.
Okay. Yeah. So I've been playing around with that. It works. I mean, I'm 80% of the times pretty lazy to do everything that's being prescribed, but whenever I do it, I definitely feel and notice the difference.
Yeah, I've seen that you should like avoid your phone in the morning. I haven't really been doing that, but I have been very consistent with this. It's hard, right?
It's so difficult.
I've been very consistent. I tried that a little bit, and at some point I didn't even think about it. I just like checked my phone and the whole thing fell apart. But I've been very consistent with like doing workouts in the morning. It's actually good when you have jet lag because you wake up at like 6 in the morning and what are you going to do? So you can have a very productive morning. Normally, if you, let's say, wake up at 8:30, 9:30, which I guess is late for most people, but for chess players, it's kind of normal to wake up at a late-ish time.
Yeah.
Then if you do like gym and breakfast and you cook and everything, then it's easy for like 2 hours to just pass by instantly.
Easy, yeah.
So it's nice to wake up early in the morning, but I don't know if I'll be able to maintain that routine.
That's one thing I really enjoy whenever I come back from Europe as well. The first, let's say, week and a half, I wake up at like 6:37 and I feel like, I finally have like a full day of productivity ahead of me. After that, it all falls apart. After like a week and a half.
Especially during tournaments.
Yeah, during tournaments, it's almost impossible and probably not even productive to do that. If you wake up too early, then you're going to fall asleep during the game. That's definitely not a fun thing to do. Bless you. There we go. All right, so a lot of things have happened in the world of chess. One of the big stories is that of the allegations made against Alejandro Ramirez by Jennifer Shahade. So we should definitely touch on that, since we both know personally Alejandro and Jennifer. We have worked with both of them. I have worked a lot with Alejandro. I have worked a lot with Jennifer as well as a commentator here in St. Louis. And I've known Alejandro for, I think, well, actually, he was one of the first people I met when I first arrived into the United States because we went to the same university. So we did spend a lot of time. Our careers overlap quite a lot as well. He obviously finished university and left, and I still stayed and finished my degree for a few more years. But after that, we started working at the St. Louis Chess Club quite close with each other as commentators, then as collegiate rivals, let's say. He teaches at St. Louis University. I teach at the University of Missouri. So we do have a lot of overlap. And also, to preface this fully, we know Jennifer quite well as well. She's been in the commentary booth for pretty much the longest. But she did take a break in 2020, and now we sort of know why. You want to touch upon that subject a little bit, Fabi?
Yeah, of course. Everyone in the chess community has heard this news. It made the waves about a week ago. I'm not sure the exact timing of it. Yeah, we've known both of them very long. I've worked with Alejandro, as most people know, quite a bit, and especially in 2018 when I played the candidates in the World Championship match. And so I saw some people online asking for my feedback about this. And of course, it's a very, very unpleasant situation to talk about. But for respect for the chess community, I feel like it's important to address it. Anyway, you mentioned that the allegations were made by Jennifer Shahade against Alejandro.
Very serious allegations.
And since then, we found out that there's an ongoing investigation into these allegations by the USCF, by the St. Louis Chess Club. There was a statement by Alejandro. He has legal representation, as we saw in the statement. I don't know any of the details besides that of the case. And since it is an ongoing investigation, I don't think that I should, speculate on it or speak on it too much. It's a very, very serious situation, and I guess we'll see what develops of it. But yeah, investigation is going on, and we'll see how that gets resolved.
It's a very delicate situation, and of course, without knowing all the details, and we don't know any of the details, it's safe and probably best for us to not speculate and pretty much wait for everything to come out. So yeah, difficult situation for all the parties involved, and I hope to see everything resolved soon, one way or the other. So that's been the big, let's say, story in the news. And after that, another thing that came just yesterday, I think it was Jobava's statement to chess.com's ban, 1 year ban from money tournaments. And I think that's an important development as well, because Jobava came out, and I don't want to misrepresent his statement, so I'm just going to read it out.
Well, we don't have to read out the entire statement, right?
Not the whole statement, okay. No. So on February 6, 2023, chess.com decided to ban me from all prize events for the rest of 2023. After a game versus a Chinese grandmaster, I had the suspicion that my opponent was cheating. Now, after the game, I was unfortunately using an offensive language, which chess.com incorrectly interpreted as racist language. None of these expressions used were meant to be racist. So he's basically denying the allegations, and he says that this is my second or third or fourth language, and I've used the language that...
Well, I wouldn't say he's denying any. I mean, like he said what he said.
Yeah.
It's open to interpretation, of course, what his feeling was when he said that, but there's nothing to deny, right? It's all on video.
Right.
He's just saying that he was misinterpreted.
Correct.
And okay, it's true. Yeah, he's not.
And if anyone got offended, you have my sincere apologies. So he's apologizing to whoever he insulted with those statements, which I think is fair play, and I think it's a good move by him. And he continues by saying that online cheaters on chess.com usually get a second chance if they confess. I think we can all agree that cheating is by far the worst thing you could do in chess, and especially in prize tournaments. This is one subject that I touched upon the last time we talked as well, and I did think that cheating is very significant as well, and maybe more significant and worse than what Jobava did. And that's why I was kind of on the fence as to why chess.com, banned Jobava for 1 year, which is significant because he probably was looking forward to win some prize money. He was, he's a pretty elite level player and he has decent chances to score high.
For sure. No, it costs him money. He's not guaranteed to win money, but he's very likely to win a chunk of money throughout the year. So
which I think for
him
him
financially
is very, very significant. From my understanding, he's struggling financially, so this is a big hit for him.
Yeah, I don't know about his financial situation, but of course it's unpleasant. I mean, these are
he mentioned it
tournaments that are important for everyone to play. Everyone's playing them. There's a reason for that.
Yeah.
First of all, it's fun. It gives us all something to do as chess players, and it's a big motivation because if you play well, then you really get rewarded very, very handily. Like Magnus won 30 grand from the.
You won quite a nice penny as well.
I got 10 for the Division 2 win, which is also great, of course. Yeah, I mean, I'm not complaining. But yeah, for sure, he definitely lost out on a bunch. So it is an interesting question because, yeah, cheating is very serious, right, in chess. And we've talked about that a lot.
It's stealing, in my opinion. Cheating, especially in prize money events.
It's stealing against other people.
Yeah, you're stealing other people's money.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, there's no way to argue that. And chess.com does give second chance, or at least they did. I don't know what their policy is now, but we found all this out through the Hans Niemann thing that, people who have been caught cheating in the past have been given a second chance, a path to redemption. And some people don't like it. Some people think it's good, that if someone sincerely confesses and says they'll never do it again, that they get a second chance to play chess.
Mm-hmm.
And so then the question is, why doesn't Jobava also get a second chance? He made a mistake. We don't know his mindset, right? Maybe it was just out of pure anger and rage, and he just said something which he regrets immensely. And also, we don't know what he communicated to chess.com.
So this is what he says. In this difficult situation, I offered them a peaceful resolution to remove the ban and at the same time publish a mutual statement with my apology. However, chess.com have now chosen to continue the path of conflict and fight. So it seems like, at least from his perspective, they decided to not allow him to get back, not allow his ban to be erased and an apology issued. So they're not siding with Jobava by any means in this situation. What is your take on that?
Well, I think it doesn't really matter what my take is, because this is not even a question of ethics, really. Like, we can make it into an ethical question. Is cheating worse than saying, using racially charged language and insulting people and harassing? And in the previous podcast, I said that what he did is worse. And some people will disagree with that, and some people will agree, and I don't know. But the question is not really ethical, but it's just a question of how it looks.
Mm-hmm.
And when someone cheats, this is something which can be resolved quietly.
Yeah.
And I don't think
chess.com pre-public
has anything against Badur. Personally, I mean, I don't see why they would. And I don't think his colleagues do either, but it just looks very bad. And so that's the thing. It's not even a question of ethics, but you take, if chess.com took another position, they open themselves up to
a PR disaster.
Yeah,
pretty
to
much.
some sort of disaster. It's quite similar to another case. It's of course different. I think what Badur said was even more
Offensive, yeah.
incendiary, let's say, or
Mm.
yeah,
Mm-hmm,
you can say offensive. But Ilya Smirin was doing commentary for an event. He was doing commentary with
Fiona.
Fiona,
Mhm.
uh, and she's a very well known figure in the chess world and also in the online streaming and commentary world. And we've known her, of course. And he said he used some sexist language and also some belittling stuff to her personally. Like he, basically insulted her live on. Like it looks very bad.
That was so difficult to watch.
And we can argue about which looks or sounds worse between the two
That
of
was
them.
so difficult to watch, so uncomfortable.
It was uncomfortable, and the reaction was very swift. He lost his position on the commentary, and who knows what will happen in the future if he'll probably won't be doing commentary in official events anytime soon. So to me, it's just a similar situation. So when you say stuff like that very publicly, it's first of all it's bad, and it's even worse because you're reaching such a large audience. And
Yeah.
the reaction by any organization will naturally be to remove you from that position. It's a harsh sentence, but you really need to think about what you say in front of the camera,
Yeah.
because you're not just representing yourself, but also the tournament and the chess community and all sorts of other things. Of course, an apology is a good first step. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, like, I have nothing against Badur, right? I mean, I've known him where we've been friendly, but it's just such a bad look.
Yeah, it's a serious breach of the code of ethics that we all abide by in society, in the chess world as well.
But so is cheating. So
is
that's
cheating.
a fair point by
Yes,
him.
yes, yes.
It's just that he put himself in that position.
Yeah, and his was much more public. I think this is the big differentiator, and it's very difficult to not respond swiftly and aggressively against such public statements. So I understand both positions. It's very, very difficult to choose a side. I understand his displeasure with this situation as well, and he's in a difficult situation, but he should have probably thought better when he went for it. Yeah, very, very.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if it's a difficult situation. Like he's basically asking for amnesty, right? I mean,
He's asking for amnesty.
okay,
right
forgiveness. I mean, it's I guess it's good in general to be forgiving,
now. Yeah.
but I don't know if that's the approach that the chess community will take.
Yeah, and after 1 year, he will be reinstated. He will be able once again to play prize money events. So this seems to be what the resolution that we're headed towards is. Most likely nothing is going to change in that regard. All right, that one was actually just came about today. And another big story, since we're talking about controversial topics, and it's something that we can build on from last week's, 2 weeks ago's podcast as well, because we did discuss this, and it was the story of Russian players. And there is a big development, I have to say. The Russian Federation applied and supposedly will get admitted to the Asian Chess Federation. So the Russian Federation was considered to be a European Chess Federation. Now they're going to play under the Asian Chess Federation, if the Asian Chess Federation allows it, which supposedly they will. So that's a big switch. Now, FIDE came out with a statement and said that they will allow, and we were discussing this on the last podcast as well, they will allow Russian players to switch federations at no cost. And that was a point of contention for us, because, I mean, they should have done that long time ago, in our opinion. They will do that, but only for European federations. So Russian players can change federation, but only to a European federation. This to me makes zero sense. Like, why can't they just switch to whatever federation they want to, like the US Federation, the Brazilian Federation, The I don't know. Like
Yeah,
any
I don't know.
federation.
This is I think
It's very
good.
strange,
It's
right?
good that Russian players can leave because
At no cost, and it's important.
that's the point. I mean, because otherwise you're basically directly paying the Russian government. It's very small money, of course. It's I mean for the government, right? For the player, it's quite a bit, but
For the players, it's a lot.
for the government, it's of course yeah. I mean,
But maybe for the federation is pretty significant. I don't know how much aid they get from the government specifically, but
Yeah, I don't know
$30,000 they can support an up and coming Russian player, for example.
yeah, of course.
with that money.
We shouldn't be facilitating Russia getting money to from chess. I mean, yeah, that shouldn't be a thing. So that's good. I don't really understand why they have to move to European countries. I don't get that, but okay. I mean, maybe they just wanted to avoid the United States getting like an influx of 2,700 plus players and dominating the chess world, which I don't even know. I don't even think that would happen because the only reason that players would want to switch specifically to the United States would be for university. And I'm not sure if people are like rushing to U.S. university chess universities. They might be, but probably
They
not.
have. I mean, I have some Russians on my team which actually have changed their federations. A lot of them have been vying to try to come to the United States. I know that for a fact. We are not the only university that's offering those scholarships, and there have been a few Russians that have moved in the past year.
No, for sure. There would be a lot who are attracted to the U.S., but I don't know if that would be that they would all go to the United States, for example. I'm not sure. I doubt that would be the case because moving to Europe is a bit easier.
Right?
Is easier, which is also a consideration for them. And if they're, let's say, 2,700 plus, they might be more focused on a professional playing career and might value a degree at an American university less than other people.
So maybe they're worried about the St. Louis Chess Club or people like Rex to try and take them by force by offering them, let's say, a good deal here in the United States.
Well, they could do that anyway. Like they would just have to pay the fee, right?
Maybe, yes.
So yeah, I don't know. To me, that's a bit strange. But okay, overall, I guess it's good.
It just sounds like a backdoor deal between FIDE and the Russian Federation to my eyes. Like, yeah, you cannot move to the United States, you cannot move to Argentina, but you can move anywhere in Europe. It makes no sense to me.
Can they also go to Asian countries?
No, just Europe,
Just European countries.
Yeah, just European. It specifies that only European countries.
So what are like the strongest European, like France?
Spain, France.
France is. I mean,
France
with
is by far right now.
Frugia
Yeah,
and Maxime.
Yeah.
Let me think. Is there something else that I mean? Okay, obviously Norway is very strong because Magnus plus like Tari Hammer is always a very good team.
Norway is big.
But-
Azerbaijan.
Azerbaijan would be considered Europe or Asia?
Yeah. I mean, they play in the European Championship, so I would
Yeah,
say
but I
it's-
never understood this because geographically, like,
I think they're considered Europe. At least they're part of the
not only by
European
chess,
federations.
right? Only, not in like the normal world. In the chess world, they're Europe,
Yeah,
but not in the normal world.
they're Asian, right? In the
I mean,
normal world.
like geographically,
Yeah.
and everything else. No?
See, this
Maybe
is-
I'm like completely mistaken, but I don't know. I mean,
This is when people are going to call us out in the comments and tell us that we're complete.
I don't think so.
dumbasses.
I mean, like,
But yeah, in the chess world,
I
they're
mean, you
considered
got
Europe.
Turkey, Russia, and it's okay. I mean, like Azerbaijan is.
But Turkey is also considered Europe.
Yeah, I know, but okay, Turkey is also
It's
like
half-half,
let's say in
Geographically, yeah.
not geographically, it's mostly in Asia, but politically, it's
Europe.
European, yeah.
Yeah.
But okay, Azerbaijan is like is east. I mean,
Yeah.
it's in the Caucasus, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So I don't know, but yeah, in chess, they've been European.
But I think they belong to the European Federation. So our producer is telling us that geographically they're in Asia, which
Yeah.
we kind of knew, but from a chess perspective, they play under the European federations.
I mean, Armenia is also in the European Championship,
yeah,
which is also like, I mean, same deal, right?
yeah, pretty much.
Okay. I mean, yeah. anyway, it's not really an important point because that's been around there for so long that they've been playing European Championship. But
So who is it? It's France from Europe, big. Norway.
from the strongest
Spain?
countries,
Is Spain considered strong nowadays? I
I
guess
mean-
Romania could be considered pretty strong.
so okay, Romania is definitely very strong. Spain, I would say, is very similar
Yeah.
in strength because they've got Anton Guijarro and they have Paco, who are both 2,700, more or less, a little bit over, I guess, but low 2,700s.
Guijarro is under.
But
Paco
he's
is
like
maybe a bit-
oscillating, right?
Yeah, he's oscillating.
going
for sure.
under, going over. Anyway, like 20, more or less 2,700 players, and then probably a bunch who are like 26.
They have a
low
2670.
2600s, right?
I'm trying to remember the name. He's more or less up and
Santos
coming.
Latasa.
Santos Latasa, yeah. He's 2670.
Yeah, okay. So they're very good, but France still. We've discussed this before when we were this world team. We were discussing it, right?
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, France with Farouja and Maxime,
Yeah.
assuming they play because they didn't play the Olympiad, are really, really good. And they always have like Etienne, who is always very solid, and
Yeah.
Frass, who's always very solid. Like the older generation of French players
And now
are,
they
are
have
still good.
as well, who is
Yeah, of course. And
2660, 2670,
yeah,
something
he's
along
very
those
good.
lines.
So they have like a legit, like maybe top
Very
five.
good team. Yeah,
Top
France.
five team.
France is always a favorite, and if they punch in another 2730, if they get Vituko, for example, I
Yeah,
mean, they
they'll be a
will
top
be a
team.
serious contender. Yeah, so it definitely feels like those are the top federations.
That's-
We'll see what's going to happen.
Yeah, Romania is also good. I mean,
Romania
there's
is
a lot of
decent.
teams. Like, okay, in general, not just counting Europe, but Uzbekistan is obviously going to be a top team
Uzbekistan,
because they're going to have like two 2700 plus at least, and maybe Abdul Zattar will be like 2750. Well, he definitely 2750 plus, but maybe he'll be even like a top 5 player in the world at some point. So Uzbekistan really strong. Azerbaijan Azerbaijan doesn't have the new guys,
But
but
they have
they
the old
remain
guys.
very strong because Shakhriyar and Timur are keeping their level. Of
Timur
like,
is more or less retired though. Timur is.
no, he's not. I mean,
it just feels like he is though, right?
well, he
I
played.
never see him play.
Yeah, that's true. But he does play some online events. He played the candidates. He'll probably like. He's not like super active.
He hasn't played a single tournament since the candidates, did he? Not even online. I cannot remember a
Wait,
single
didn't he
tournament
play the
he
world
played
team?
online.
Or am I mistaken?
I don't think he did.
Uh,
Maybe he did, but
Yeah,
even
okay.
if he did, that was like a 4-day event, rapid event.
yeah, maybe Timur is still a bit of a wild card in terms of how much he's playing. Shakhriyar is still active. And they have some other good guys. Like Ralph is still active. He's still good. But
Yeah.
it's true they don't have like too many young talents.
Durarbeli, who is the Azeri champion. They have Muradli, who is coming
Young
up the rankings,
guy, right?
but he's
Yeah.
still only 2550. They have some talent, but it doesn't seem like they're breaking through to those elite rankings. Yeah, interesting situation. Definitely, we'll see if any of the top players are going to choose to switch from Russia to other
Well, there's
federations.
so many like if you just
Fedorcev,
think-
Vityukov,
Okay, Grishuk. I mean,
Grishuk.
we know that Karyakin won't.
Karyakin will.
Karyakin is staying in Russia. He's made that position clear.
Yeah.
But Grishuk, Fedorcev, Vityugov. I assume like some of because also like people have ties, they have family
Yeah.
ties, and it's not easy to just like uproot your life.
Zvidler moved to Israel,
yeah.
right? He changed federations. I don't know if he moved locations, but he changed federations.
I don't
to
know
Israel.
either, but yeah,
So he made his position pretty clear.
I think that must have been like a difficult decision because for sure he's against the war, but
He's
also
the 8-time national champion. Yeah.
well, yeah, but also people like even if you like disagree with the current events in your country, as I'm sure many Russian players do in their country, you still like have fond feelings for your country,
Of
and
course.
for the history of your country. So I'm sure there's a lot of like feelings, also remorse when they feel like they have to leave Russia for political reasons.
Yeah.
But yeah, I guess we'll see what happens.
Yeah. What else has been happening? What tournaments did we have? We had the new tournament, that's going on in Dortmund. The WR,
Isn't it Dusseldorf?
maybe Düsseldorf,
Yeah.
yes. WR Masters, new elite level event. Quite an interesting field. We have a lot of youngsters. We have Kaimer, Abdusatorov, Pragnananda. All of these players we have seen at Tattoo Steel as well. We have Levon, who is actually doing amazing in this event. And let's talk about that. Levon, he's the wild horse, let's say, going into the event. Definitely on a downtrend. But right now, after, I believe, 6 or 7 rounds, he's on +3, which is significant.
So, the games are interesting. I mean, today he played against Wesley. He drew the game with black from a Nimzo. He actually played an idea that, I think he might have mentioned this, but if he hasn't anyway, I don't think it's a big secret. In 2021, we were kind of fooling around, looking at some line on chessboard, and it was in St. Louis. It was like right here. It was, I think, before a tournament, before American Championship or after, I can't quite remember. And I had this idea of a line which is kind of popular and annoying, which is the E3 Nimzo, and if C5, then knight E2, and it's very, very popular, and it's supposed to be like a little bit annoying for black. And then I had this idea of like knight C6, and something which computer initially hates, which is exactly what happened in the game, to play C4, and then you allow bishop H7, and you end up with this really weird structure. White has a center, black has lost to the H pawn, black has like all these pass pawns on the queen side. Engine kind of hates it and then warms up to the idea. And he actually got like serious winning chances today with it, but eventually it ended in a draw.
With the black pieces.
So,
Yep.
I mean, I actually like to see my ideas end up on the board, even if I don't get to play them myself. And of course, it's also his idea because we were working together. The thing is, I actually did play this idea against, so it wasn't a fully new. I played it in an Armageddon game against Serrana, and I got a very good position. I lost the Armageddon game, so I feel at least like it got one good result, draw against Wesley. But it felt a bit stupid when I...
From a position of strength, actually.
For sure,
He was, I'm looking at the game right now, and the engine is saying like -2 at some point. So
yeah, it was a queen sacrifice. It was probably very tough to win it, but
definitely
I think he was happy with the draw at some point because he simplified. he like forced the draw with black.
Yeah.
And he beat Anish in an interesting game. Like he played a very tame line in the anti-Berlin, got basically nothing from the opening. It seemed like Anish got nervous. He played nervous move F5. Seemed like basically you play F5 because you want to blockade. But I think this kind of these positions are unpleasant for black are known in a slightly different structure from the game Carlsen-Shirov from the 2021 Grand Swiss. Basically, black is very solid, has a blockade on E6. White has a passed E5 pawn, which isn't moving anytime soon. But in the long term, it actually does play a role. This passed pawn, at some point, black can't really do anything because you always have to look after this pawn blockaded, and then you end up getting like stretched thin on both sides. And I once used this knowledge in a blitz game against Lanier as well to win. Like these positions, they look very solid, but they end up being unpleasant almost always. So Anish plays F5, and it ends up being unpleasant for him in the long run. While he was the tiniest bit worse before that, and not really worse if he hadn't gone for that. So that was a bit of a surprising decision, but a good game from Levon. Besides that, he played like a great game against Abdustarv, like brilliant, just clinical. He beat a dragon. It was weird to see. You don't see the dragon too often.
What
right?
was that? What was that? That decision by Abdusatorov to actually go for the dragon.
Yeah, so I mean, I kind of
like why would you do that?
Like, okay, Abdustarov is working with Rustam.
Yes.
And Rustam he's like a creative opening player.
Sure.
He likes to be creative in the opening. And these days with modern engines, you can be very creative because we realize that the margin of error is much bigger than we thought. Like you have a lot of freedom with the black pieces. It's not that there's only one good way to play chess. You actually have a wide choice in the opening of. So I don't know for sure, but I feel like Rustam is looking around trying to experiment in different openings. Also,
I mean, we looked at the dragon a little bit during Tata Steel as well, and we realized it's actually not that easy to get the decisive advantage.
No, it's not easy, and nobody pays attention to it.
Yeah,
it's not fun for black if white knows it, but nobody like remembers. I have a feeling, or remembers very vaguely. So
people don't take it seriously.
Yeah, you feel like you can get away with it on a here and there sort of like one-time basis. And also, Abdustarov played the Benko against
Nepomniachtchi.
against Jan. And at some point I was also like checking the Benko, trying to figure out, is this like, can you do this in rapid games? Is this still a viable opening? And I kind of concluded that it is a viable opening. I mean, you can play the Benko. I wouldn't recommend that you play it as like your main repertoire, but it's not as bad as was thought. Like, I remember the Benko had a decent reputation for a while, like if we're going back decades. And then at some point, like the old way of playing the Benko, it was discovered that that basically white doesn't have to play g3 bishop g2,
Mm-hmm. Can
but
go knight c3 e4.
yeah, can take on f1 and then play a4 at some point, and basically black runs out of counterplay.
That was supposed to kill the Benko, and now they play with queen a5 instead of taking on a6.
Yeah, that was like the sort of mini revival,
Mhm.
and then queen a5 got refuted,
Yeah.
and then the like revival was the way Dubov plays, which is to play an early e6, and that's kind of the way that, like, it's clear Abdusattorov also wanted to do that, but then he mixed it up.
He got a lost position at move 7.
Yeah, he was mixing
And
up
he
his
was
lines.
blitzing up his moves.
Yeah, I think it was typical, like, you want to show that you know it,
Yeah.
and you've analyzed it, but you don't remember too clearly because it's a new opening, and then you mix everything up and get a bad position. But the fact that he was going early e6, and after e d5, knight d5, bishop e7 specifically, it shows that he was thinking about this in another line. And I won't like go through the moves of what line he wanted to play, but he completely mixed up with like the main line of the what I call like the Dubov Benko, which is okay, we don't have to go into details of it, but yeah, this at some point I was trying to revive it this way also, and you can kind of do it. It's like, it's a bit of a miserable position if white knows it, but who actually is checking this stuff with white? Like, you have so many bigger problems if you're playing d4. You know, you have to. I was talking to Lenier the other day because we were at this like Spassky event.
Mm-hmm.
Boris Spassky Jr., his son, the great world champion son, came to St. Louis. I was talking to Lenier about chessable a bit, and he did a chessable course, which I haven't seen, but oh my god.
Oh no. We're going to get so much shit for that.
I was just looking at the chessboard.
Oh my goodness.
But like Lenier said that he did a chessable course on the Neo Tarish or whatever it's
I'm
called.
blaming our producer for that. I think
No, it was set up this way when we got here, so no one's to blame.
all right.
But yeah, he said he did a chessable course on like some kind of modern Tarish, and if you're playing d4, these are the kind of openings that you mostly worry about, like the super solid Tarishes and not the Benko Gambit. Anyway.
Yeah. Yeah. By the way, tell me how the Boris Spassky Jr. event was. I was planning on coming to that, but I just simply got sick and I couldn't. I was actually looking forward to that.
Yeah, he came here with his family. I didn't know much about him, much about the son of Boris Spassky. I don't know how old he is. He looks very good. He looks like a young guy, but I don't know. I assume he's like in his 40s, but I would say that he looks younger, so I don't know exactly. Seems like a really nice, cultured guy. He's French,
Mm-hmm.
so Spassky, of course, was Soviet world champion, but after the match, after 72 when he lost to Fischer, in 75 he met a woman who was working in the French consulate in Russia, I think.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's, I might be getting the story wrong. And we just heard that he's 42, right?
42.
42
yes.
years old. But I would say he looks like mid to late 30s. So he looks good for his age. And so they had a son, Boris Spassky Jr. And very nice, cultured guy. Speaks English really well. Speaks Italian.
Really?
I think he's studying in Italy. Speaks French, of course. I probably speaks Russian, I would assume. I don't, because I guess that was also a language that they might have been speaking along with French growing up. And he was telling stories about his father. It was like a Q&A session, but it was mostly him telling stories about his father. I had like 2 questions for him.
Mm-hmm.
Other people had a variety of questions, like, what kind of music did your father like? And to be honest, I didn't recognize who he mentioned, it was like old Soviet artist. My questions were, how did he look back on the 72 match? Was it with regret? Was it and he actually said that
His
it was
father.
more, that his father, that Boris Spassky, had more of like a sense of relief from the match. And he said specifically that the Soviet Union, the government, the state, did sanction him and did like put pressure on him after the match, that he had to face some turbulent, times. Of course, there was a story of,
Because he lost, or because he was, let's say, showing some sort of friendliness towards Fischer?
so I think it was first of all because he lost, which was to an American. It's pretty pretty bad considering the political times. And I think the other thing was that he had a chance basically to leave the match.
Yeah.
After Fischer forfeited, he could have just left, and I don't really know what that would have done for the match, but I think he faced some pushback that he should have just left, and I guess remained world champion because he wouldn't have played Fischer, and he
Probably would have
just
been a similar situation to what happened between Karpov and Kasparov, yeah? In the
that
first
they would have
match.
just rescheduled the match. It's really hard to
Maybe.
say. It's really hard to say. I don't know. It might have been that Fischer just forfeits the match. I mean, for sure, Gary in his great predecessor's book covers this in more detail, and I read that book once, and I don't remember basically the details of this whole situation. But yeah, I think Spassky had to face some tough questions for mostly for losing the match. But he said that what his father's philosophy at the time was that he thought Fischer was a unique challenge, a great challenge, and he wanted to take up the challenge. And also he had a good record against Fischer at the time. His Spassky Jr.'s words.
So right now the door at the place where we're filming just opened without anybody actually trying to come in. Hopefully there's no ghosts around, but yeah, continue. Where were we? I know. You guys cannot see, but maybe we have some intruders.
So yeah, he said he used the words track record, so he had a good track record against Fischer at the time, and that's true, of course.
But at the same time, Fischer was on the upswing. He was getting better and better with each and every tournament, and going into the match, he was considered to be the favorite.
Well, I don't know about
despite their
I mean,
record.
he had this huge streak. Of course, he won 6-0 against Taimanov, 6-0 against oh my god, I'm blanking. This is really bad to blank on. Help me out here.
I don't know. Geller? I don't know.
No. This is really bad.
Botvinnik? No.
Botvinnik? No.
What am I talking about? I need to brush up on my history as well. Definitely not Botvinnik.
Okay, this is terrible, but at some point the name will come.
We'll edit it. We'll put it somewhere.
And then okay, he beat Taimanov in I think what was it, 4.5, 1.5.
Mm-hmm.
So he basically swept the path leading leading up to the match, but I don't know if he was considered a favorite.
I think by rating he was definitely a favorite.
Yeah, but
going
FIDE
into the
ratings at
match.
the time, I mean, okay, the ratings were Spassky was 26
something, and
10,
he was
and
27.
He was 27.95.
Yeah,
or 85.
huge favorite.
Yeah. But
based on
this is,
ratings.
Yeah, this name is killing me. It's just, and when I say the name, you'll be like, how can you?
Can you give me a hint on what I should Google?
71 candidates, Fischer, Larson, Ben Larson.
That was it. There we go. We got it.
So yeah, we got Ben Larson. No, it was killing me for a second. Where was I?
Well, we were discussing about Spassky's views on the match and feelings
that was
after the match.
That was
of relief.
my first question to him was about that. And the second question was regarding this movie From Russia with Love. I asked him what his father thought of that movie. And he didn't give me a very clear answer because I think he he mentioned Stein, and I don't know if there was like, but the chess scene from Russia with Love.
I haven't seen it, so
So it's based on the book, right? The James Bond book, and at the start of the movie, there's a scene between two players, Kronstein against McAdams, and there's like a demonstration board, and it shows this game which was played between Spassky and Bronstein from the King's Gambit, which was like a nice game that Spassky won. And so I thought, like, I mean, imagine if your chess game ended up in a James Bond movie, right?
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, that would be like a
Significant.
pretty nice feeling. So that's why I asked him about it. I also wasn't sure what to ask. So, it was very interesting. He gave like a lot of history on his.
Did you guys have a dinner afterwards, like a private dinner? Or
but I wasn't seated at his table, so
it was pretty big. It was a big event.
Yeah, it was. I mean, it was all chess people.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was like more of a private event, but it was pretty big. I would say 30 people.
Yeah.
It wasn't open to the public, so this is like, the entire like St. Louis University chess team was there. Other players, player from your university was there. Dorsa Derek Shani was there.
Yep.
With I think her mother. I'm not 100% sure.
Yeah.
And Lanier came. I'm sure that Levon would have come if he was in the country, but he's playing, right?
Yeah, no, I really have regrets not being able to attend this one. I was looking forward to it. Unfortunately, it didn't happen. And you might be asking why Boris Spassky Jr. was here is because he donated a lot of memorabilia from his father's library to the World Chess Hall of Fame, which is here in St. Louis. So
yeah,
as a sign of appreciation.
I think it's sticking around, that exhibit, for a while. So if anyone...
It should. It's an incredible exhibit.
Anyone wants to check it out,
come visit. Definitely worth it. I mean, visit the club, but also visit this one. Is one of the most important, let's say, exhibits that I believe they've had here at the World Chess Hall of Fame in the past few years. So
yeah, it's a really good exhibit. I mean, a lot of that stuff gets lost to history.
Yeah,
I can't imagine how many like
you have score sheets.
Well, the thing
incredible.
Is, now everything's of course on the computer.
Yeah,
but back in the day, you had to handwrite everything, and I assume everything it was in Cyrillic.
Opening notebooks. Yeah, it's impressive.
To like go through that stuff and understand it, it would take a Russian chess player or a Russian-speaking chess player. But yeah, it's definitely very interesting. I can't imagine the amount of stuff that was lost during World War II, for example.
And in fact, Varakobian went to Paris last year and looked and analyzed all of these historical artifacts. So yeah, definitely worth visiting. Glad that he was able to make his way to St. Louis and see the World Chess Hall of Fame and the exhibit as well, and discuss with you guys. I mean, that must have been quite interesting. Cool. Big events also happening. Let's finish it up with this one is the Pro Chess League. You guys lost your first match. The Archbishops played against not the Pandas. I think it's the Tigers nowadays. It used to be the Pandas. Now it's Shanghai Tigers,
Okay,
I believe.
Yeah, I didn't get a chance to play the match because I was traveling.
You were traveling.
I wanted to.
Did not play that match. That was quite a difficult match for St. Louis. But now you're playing tomorrow.
Yeah, we're playing an Indian team.
Mm-hmm.
It's like MGD1. I might be getting that wrong, but I think that's the name of the team. It's strong. There's like two Indian teams, right? There's the Indian Yogis. And there's this one, which is with the lineup that will be playing is Arjun, Eric Aisi, Ariban, Bhaskaran, and Harika, who's the fourth board, and a guy I don't know too well. I don't know if he lives in India or in the United States. Aditya Mittal.
No, definitely in India.
Okay, for sure, right? Because
if he was living in the US, I would be trying to get him to the university.
Someone mentioned
he's only 16 years of age or 17 by now.
Guy. I checked him. He's super well. Like his repertoire is not a random repertoire. It's like very.
He's good.
very well thought out repertoire. It's not a typical like young person's repertoire, let's say.
Yeah, no, he's studious, very, very good. He's improving fast, close to 2600, I think. Definitely, I have my eyes on him as potentially the next big thing coming out from
he
India.
seems very good. Also, our team is
who are you guys playing with? So
Theodoru
you on board one?
Yeah, Theodoru, Kobian, Varushna Kobian, and Rochelle Wu.
Rochelle Wu, okay.
Who is like, I don't know, 16 as well, right? Like very
maybe
young.
17. Yeah,
maybe 17
along those lines.
So
young.
I think a lot of if she does well, I think we have very good chances. If she can like get a point or a point and a half, I think we really have good chances.
That's probably the big discrepancy between your team and the Indian team is...
but I could see her doing well against Harika.
Harika is, 2450, 2500 or whatever. Rochelle is like close to 2300, but not even that. So that's a big difference right there.
Yeah,
but then again, they have you.
Well, okay, online, like, I mean, Aragaisi is also very, like, I wouldn't say that I'm clearly higher level than Aragaisi in Rapid and Blitz. I do actually have good results against him, but yeah, it's like close to 50-50 between us in that individual game, I guess.
Theodoro, I think, is definitely online better than Adiban.
I agree with that. Yeah, I was going to say that because Theodoro is not as well known, and Adiban is good, but like Theodoro is very, very dangerous in these.
He's so good online.
He's been like 3,100 plus in Blitz on chess.com. This is not Blitz.
Good. He's good.
But yeah, he's really good. And Adiban is very hit and miss. He's a very interesting player, very good, but he can have a great day, he can have a bad day. So that's also. And then VAR is solid. Like VAR, I expect to play solidly.
And Aditya, we don't actually know too much about.
That could be also a board where it's a bit shaky for them, maybe, right? Like, I don't know. It's going to be probably a close match. I've seen a lot of matches this week. All of them have been like wipeouts.
Yeah,
kind of weird. And I feel like this is a close match. I hope that I'm not proven wrong.
Except the Chess Bros. The Chess Bros actually had a couple of very close matches. They won against... Was it against... Who is the one they're playing for?
I don't know.
Charlotte Cobras.
Okay.
They had a very close match against them in week 1, I believe. And it came down to the last match between a Wander with the white pieces against Magnus. A Wander with a crushing
I saw that game.
position. 7.5, 7.5. This is the last game of the round. And Magnus manages to swindle a Wander.
That's
a Wander refuses the repetition. Doesn't want to draw. And then Magnus swindles him. And the Chess Bros win the match 8.5 to 7.5.
Yeah, that's the heartbreaker. And then I saw their other one. They were like
against the Indian Yogis.
They were crushing them early on, and then
7.5 to 4.5.
Mm-hmm.
Indian Yogis need 3.5 to tie the match, and they score 4-0 and win the match.
Yeah, Magnus, if he had won, that would have been it, right? And he was winning against Vidit.
And he lost.
He was like mating him by force.
Yeah.
So I guess that those balance out.
More or less.
Like, it's funny that it came down to Magnus's game, and one time it went his way, and the other time it went the other way.
It might actually have been 7 to 7.5, and they lost 9-7. Not 7.5 to 4.5. So maybe it didn't matter that much, but if you would have made a draw or lost.
Yeah, I didn't check the scores. I checked the games. I don't really check the scores, but and there's so many games I kind of like, they all get mixed up in my memory. But I did see that Vidit game. And also, it like made the news, right?
It's exciting. It did make the news.
Magnus in a crucial game. So yeah, we'll see what happens tomorrow. I don't really know the format. Like, I'm just gonna show up and play.
It's 4v4. Everybody plays
I know that,
everybody.
but I don't know the format of the entire event.
Yeah.
I don't bother. Like, I'll
much.
play and I'll let Mike Kummer figure out the.
Mike Kummer is the manager. Nemo, aka Chiuzu, is
the captain.
The captain of the St. Louis Archbishops. So how did that play out? Are you guys being managed in any way? Are they telling you what to play? Like what's
I've only been in touch.
What's the backstory
with Mike?
Yeah.
He asked me if I could play the first one. I told him I couldn't. He asked me if I could play this one. I told him I could. So I don't know. much besides that. I mean, that I'll play if I can, and I leave the rest up to Mike and Nemo, I guess. I mean, this is the first time that we've had like captain plus manager.
And manager,
I mean,
yeah.
I think that they want to bring like, because Nemo is like signed with the gaming company and she's very popular.
Some sort of an esports field.
Yeah, they want to like bring the esports element into it, which is good, for sure. I mean, like bring some popular names into the tournament. I think they had like a wider thing that they didn't manage to get going, which was they wanted to actually get esports teams involved, and they probably wanted to do it like last year, and it didn't. I don't think they could manage everything, get it all going. It's probably a huge amount, and I think at some point these esports companies got hit financially.
Yeah.
At some point, and that
There's
was
been a lot of layoffs in the last couple of months.
That was one of the reasons why they couldn't get it in the way that they wanted. So, so definitely like a bit of a more modest approach compared to maybe what chess.com was hoping for.
Yeah, definitely a fun event to watch, and most likely we will have regular season and a ensuing playoff. That's a speculation since we both don't know the exact format, but that's what they used to have. That's pretty much was the most exciting. So lots of fun events coming up. You have the American Cup. We have the next Champions Chess Tour event, which is also coming up before the American Cup. So that's going to be exciting. Maybe I'll play that as well, but I'm sure we'll get into it at a later time. Dude, welcome back to the US. It's been fun. I think we covered a lot of ground. We covered a lot of topics, a lot of interesting and exciting topics in the world of chess. And we'll be back next week with plenty more. Now, let's talk about how people can reach us and support us. Discord, that's a big one. We've been hanging around in the Discord. So if you want, go check it down below. Don't forget.
And also for the people in the Discord, I encourage people to chat.
Oh, yeah.
Everyone's very shy.
Please chat.
We got I'm
not sure what that means.
Sit back.
I'm not sure what the sit back. All right, got it. Our producer, once again, telling me to sit back in the chair.
For anyone who joins Discord, encourage you guys to talk, because we have a lot of people. It's like 1,200 or so by now.
It's a fast-growing Discord,
but
joining the action.
People are very quiet. Besides that,
I think it's because we were a bit quiet in the last couple of days, mostly because I was sick and you were traveling. But we're back. We're definitely back into the mix. So come hang out. You can reach us at pretty much any time of the day, wherever you are. That's the main thing. And then obviously we do have a TikTok. We do have a Clips channel. And also subscribe to this channel. And don't forget, spread the word. Tell your friends where you're hanging out and what podcasts you're watching. So those are the ways in which you can support the channel for the moment. Fabi, anything to add?
No, well, you just reminded me of a scene from a movie. There's something about Mary. I don't know if you remember that. You don't remember that? Okay. No, it was. He's talking to his psychologist or psychiatrist, but he's like facing this way, and the guy's behind him. And then
I was facing the wrong camera, I think. Yes.
And then he realizes, well, he doesn't realize, but like we see that there's nobody there, and then the psychologist like rushes into the room wearing like a napkin, and he just like came from lunch, and he wasn't listening to him at all. And then he sits down, and the psychologist has no idea what he's talking about. He's been talking for like an hour. And then I don't know how politically correct this movie is anymore, so I won't mention the next part, but something you said about Hangouts reminded me of that movie.
Beautiful. I think it's the best way to leave it on. Comment with the end of that scene of that movie if you know what it is. Even if it's not politically correct, we'll figure it out. Anyway, cheers, guys. We'll see you next week. Peace.